we are going to share with you the next session, which is a dialogue. And Teresa is going to have a dialogue with her dear good friend about gratitude, gift, and purpose. She thrived through two. So, Teresa.
Yeah, thank you so much, Varan. And I'd like to introduce my friend, Shirley Adrain, who joins us. I think you're still in the UK at the moment, right, Shirley? In Scotland. She's all packed up. She's flying back to Hong Kong right after this session. Now, originally I planned this for just me and Shirley, but I thought because our audience is so engaging, I like you guys to come in whenever you like. Okay, you could give me a signal like a 1 if you want to ask something. With Shirley, and Shirley agreed. We just kind of worked out this before she came on. You look so beautiful in your red, Shirley, always. Now, Shirley, I have to introduce her. We don't see each other a lot, and I think we haven't seen each other for months and months now. And she's gone into the UK to take a vacation. But Shirley's an amazing woman, and I've been typing in her LinkedIn and everything. She's my hero. She's my heroine. She's just so everything to me because she's so just simply amazing. I couldn't find another word. Shirley she's a leadership coach, a diversity and inclusion leadership coach, but that's not the reason we have her here today, actually, because she, for more personal reasons and as a role model, she actually was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And I remember the day that she called me because we were supposed to do a talk. I think we were going to talk about work, right, Shirley? And then she said, I can. And then, in my gut, because I'm quite intuitive and I just knew something was not right. I was really feeling like heaviness and dark. She said, I need to talk to you, Teresa. Something's came up. I found some news and I just knew. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew. And so when I said, I'm out, when I come home, I'll give you a call. And, we had a chat. Remember that day, Shirley? And it was so hard for me to... And I knew it was hard on her because she's such a strong woman and she lives such a healthy lifestyle. She smiles, she's happy all the time, and she's productive. How could she came down with stage 4 lung cancer, number 1, and thriving in the 2 C's? And ironically, I don't know how I knew, but she thought I knew. And so when I presented her this title of the dialogue, she said, Teresa, her response was, how appropriate, Teresa. I just came down with COVID. Oh my goodness, Shirley, I don't know how you do it. I still don't know how you do it. And this is a woman, and look, she's still wheezing, guys. So in case this is not her normal voice. So she told me, Teresa, it's been really tough. And I felt like I've been putting pressure on her for her to come on this show of ours, the summit. But and that's her. She would always keep to her promise. She would always say, that's just the way she is, really. That's just the way she is. And she's just so strong. Shirley, please say hello. I've been talking.
Hi.
Yeah.
Everybody hear me?
Yeah,
Hi.
everybody could hear you.
Well, thank you very much. That was a lovely intro, Teresa, and I'm very excited to be here this morning. This is this morning UK time, this afternoon in Asia.
Yeah, well, tell us a bit more about what you've been up to and what's been going on with your mind and your emotional health. I mean, you've been through a lot, and before all that, we had this, the social unrest here in Hong Kong, and it hasn't been easy. How do you deal with this?
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. I think, especially recently. Well, obviously, my cancer diagnosis, and I did a lot of work on my mind to work through the emotions when you get diagnosed with a terminal disease, when you actually feel absolutely fine. So to walk through that and how I was going to deal with it and choosing hope over fear. And so, I worked a lot through that over the last year and counting my blessings. And it's not been as hard as it might have been because I've been feeling physically fit, even though I had cancer in lots of parts of my body. But then I got COVID, as you said. Then I got COVID at the end of July. In the UK, it's quite hard to avoid, I found. And yeah, that wasn't too bad at the time because I've had the vaccinations. But then afterwards, it didn't really go away. And then now I have a wheezy cough. So and I can't do exercise. So that's more of a challenge for me because I do classical singing and I do a lot of exercise, and those two things I can't actually do because I'm wheezing a lot with this. So that has been a challenge for me. And I'm always looking at what are the lessons from this. And, perhaps one of the lessons for me is, I feel I should be doing more advocacy for lung cancer patients. And part of me didn't really understand what it felt like to have constricted lung space, because I've been jumping around, doing trail running, going to the gym every day, and not feeling like a lung cancer patient. Now I'm having a bit of an experience of what it's like to have damage to your lungs, and now I'm stepping back and taking more time to focus on myself, to heal, and to take some more lessons. So it's definitely been a bit different over the last couple of months.
Right, but let's go backward a little bit, is, when you found out you had lung cancer, I remember you telling me you made several commitments. Can you share with us what those were?
When I found out, I said, right, I believe the diagnosis, but I'm not going to believe the prognosis. There is so much out there, and really with my work, I do a lot about getting the right support team in place, and facing up to life's challenges. So that was really important for me to sort of take some of my own learnings, and that was the first thing I did, was find the right people around the world who could help me, because it was absolutely devastating. I've got a 7-year-old son, I've got a 12-year-old daughter. I feel I'm young. I'm 52. I'm
Very young.
I'm fit. I'm usually fit. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life before. Like 10 to 15% of lung cancer patients. I'm a youngish woman who's never smoked, and there's actually a larger percentage in Asia. So there's obviously something that's causing it more in Asia. So people like me, you don't expect to get cancer. So it was a huge shock. All my healthy green drinks and everything, does not stop me from getting cancer. So I've really had to think about, what's my next step. And the first one was to get a really great support team in place to help me. So I contacted you, Teresa. You're great at and the support you've given me. I'm sure everybody who knows Teresa on this call will know. She sent me lots of messages and met up and support, and what I should be eating, about managing my mind, doing enough yoga. So lots of good things to really help me. And I found some holistic cancer specialists from around the world, so that they really helped me at looking at all the different options. And I found an amazing expert who's healed her husband of stage 4 colon cancer. So she's been an amazing help. And it's amazing when you can open up to the universe. People come and help you. I really believe in karma and the support of, asking for that help. And I guess I've helped people over the years. And not the same people you help are the ones who come back and help you. But I believe in the importance of that. And when you start seeking this advice, great people come into your life and help you with that. So I have an amazing support team who have really helped me look at all the different options on how to deal with this. And I think that is important for any illness, not just relying on that one doctor.
But I remember, though, Shirley, what you said was, Teresa, I told my doctor I'm going to be the only patient that's going to survive this. So your commitment to me, what I heard was, you want to live.
Yes.
But what gave you that strength? Because, most people in your situation would just, okay, well, I may just have to accept it that I'm going to die, So where did you find that strength? And I know you're very strong in your mind and in your heart. But where did you find that? Maybe I keep asking everybody, what was that aha moment where you just go, look, I got to do this. Like, I can't give up.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't an option for, when I think of my family, I'm not one of these people who's going to get depressed by saying, oh, my children are going to end up without a mom, or my husband's going to end up without a wife, and this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to die before my parents. These thoughts, which I did fleetingly have, but I recognize that they were not helpful. I mean, they're not helpful for me or for anyone. And also, there's so many stories out there of people beating cancer. And there's so many stories of or how you can live successfully with cancer is how I prefer to view it, rather than being this battle, actually. So there's lots of examples, and there's lots of ways to do it. So, I mean, I'm a very positive person. I mean, I studied psychology at university. I've been practicing positive psychology for 20 years. I like doing the research. So I think when it happened to me, I thought, thank goodness it was me and not anybody else in my family.
You did. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And I said, you know, all my life lessons, all my learnings to date have you know, helped me. They've equipped me to deal with this challenge. I have it all within me. I was very determined. You know, I've got these resources, and sometimes I don't see them right in front of me, and I have to tap into them. But I know that from within me, I have the strength to deal with this.
Right. And you talk about gratitude, which is something I was a little surprised, like when I would see on your LinkedIn page and say, okay, you know, because of this, now I found the purpose. Because all the times I've known you, you always have a purpose. You know, you're always doing positive things, and you're doing great things like diversity and inclusion, you know, whether it's, and you're helping people all the time, like you said. But what was something new that you haven't done and you came out to do because of this experience with cancer?
Yeah. And I think, well, one of the things that, as you mentioned, I found my purpose. I had my purpose, which was very much helping and supporting people in their careers. But I refined that a bit more to say that my purpose is really to heal myself, and to use my strengths and my skills to empower others to elevate their lives and their careers. So I tweaked my purpose slightly. And I also gave me a lot more focus when I was clear on my purpose. So from a work perspective, you know, I was very specific on what I am specific on what clients I take on and what pieces of work I do, because we can spend so much time focusing on things that aren't that important and saying yes to work projects that are, you know, bring us down or don't really focus on why we're here and our skills. So I've been much more focused on that, and it works. You know, the work that comes towards me now is you know, is really interesting and very focused on what I want to do. So I get a lot of joy from my work. I don't work full time, but what I do, I feel, you know, I really love doing. So that has really sustained me as well through this year.
Yeah.
I think it's important to keep doing what you love, and I love my job. So yeah.
Yeah, and you love who you are, and that's all I've always known that about you, and it's fantastic. And we're already getting questions and comments from the audience. Shirley, let's just engage with them. So Glenn Van Zetven, who's going to be our moderator for the next panel, actually, he's come on early to join us and support me. And thank you so much, Glenn. He says to thank you, Shirley, for sharing with us your strength. And I thank you as well. I feel like crying now. And I really like the fact that you don't talk about victimizing yourself. And I think that's such a great strength in all of us, because often when we go through bad times, and we all do, and we tend to victimize ourselves. And like you said earlier, you're not going to say, you know, my kids, and I know your daughter, right? You know, I'm just not going to let this happen, because I don't want them to be victims, and you don't want to be the victim of the process. And I think that's where the strength is coming in. Now we have a question from Christine, who's been very active and engaging throughout since this morning. She says she's curious, while you were getting treatment, did you live a normal life?
I would say I did. I think the first couple of weeks, you know, me and my husband really sort of sat down and tried to devise a plan and thought through things. But I did live a normal life. And one thing I actually did was ramp up my exercise. I was going to the gym 5 times a week, and I recognized that it's really important to have a super fit body to live successfully with cancer. So I actually went to the gym 7 times a week, and I ate super healthily, and I went out and I socialized. I drank a little bit of alcohol, but the medicine I'm on, which is this amazing targeted therapy, it's like a chemo tablet, but not, I still have my hair, so not like normal chemo, but it's like a tablet I take every day, and it does have side effects, and one of that is no alcohol now, that it smells horrible to me. So it has various side effects, but perhaps not as bad as normal chemo, which, you know, is somewhere down the line. But at the moment, this targeted therapy is amazing. And, you know, I take 1 pill a day. I've had radiotherapy on my lungs. I've had radiotherapy on my liver. But really, I've kept on, doing my exercise, meditating, focusing on myself. I've certainly spent a lot more time on self-care than I would have done before I got cancer. And so that has definitely changed my schedule. And
Yeah,
trying
and
not to
her
put too much in. Yeah.
right, and I know that too, and but also one thing that she did, she was so committed to, which she said, Teresa, I'm just going to change up my food. And she did. She went to see, I mean, she spoke to me initially, but she actually went to a nutritionist and did all of them, went vegan, right? Vegan,
Yeah.
no dairy, nothing. And then nowadays she's still on a very, quite strict diet where she only has, the only carb that she has is chickpeas. She mentioned that. So it's amazing. It's a really, takes a lot of strength to change all of that, right? Surely,
Yes, I mean, I think diet is important. I have cheated a bit since I've been in Scotland and and had COVID and only wanted sort of hot things. So I'm definitely going back to my healthier diet when I'm in Hong Kong. But I think that really helps because I mean, one of the things I've found out is the gut health is so important, and most cancer patients have problems with the gut microbiome. So it's really important that I feed it with the right foods. So that's hugely important. It's something I'm doing a lot of research on at the moment.
I like that. And food is not changing food habits is actually quite difficult for many people. It's really having that strength, just like Shirley has, is knowing that it's good for you because food could actually, make you better or worse. And she chose to get better and choosing the right foods with that. There's two questions here, Shirley, and I'm going to combine because they are really talking about communication. The first one is about how would you suggest, because someone in the audience actually has a friend who had a mom who had stage 4 lung cancer. How would you suggest, us to communicate with someone we love that is terminally ill? And my second question to you, combining that, is that at one point, and I'm such a huge respect for privacy, so I've never shared your condition with anybody until you came out with the interview with the SMP, and then my students went to interview you as well. So how were you communicating with your family, firstly, and then secondly, how would you suggest other people communicate with with family members or friends that are terminally ill? And three was, why did you come out to decide to share with the world of what you were going through?
Okay, so
three questions. I know. I'll come back if you forget. Don't worry, I'll come back. Yeah.
Okay, right. I think the first one, I mean, communicating with my family, I had to do that carefully, and actually with my parents, I didn't explain where it had spread to. I did not want to stress my elderly parent. I said I had stage 4 lung cancer. I said I was going to deal with it. I had amazing medication. I didn't say there's a big tumor in my liver, and there's a big tumor in my neck, and my adrenal glands and my thyroid, and and my bones. I didn't tell them this because they didn't need to know that. They just needed to know that I was going to deal with it. And I mean, I was lucky to have a great response to treatment. And then, I guess, I have a lot of friends. I've been talking about this, and they said, oh, you're inspiring. Why don't you share your story? And I felt it was important to share my story because, as I said, there are so many women that are getting lung cancer in Asia. Who, like me, have never smoked. They get the non-small cell lung cancer like I have, and they have the EGFR mutation like I have, so it's a very specific one that we tend to get. So I wanted to sort of share that story because nobody's testing us for lung cancer because we're not. I mean, they don't even test smokers for lung cancer here, so they're definitely not going to test healthy non-smokers. So what do you do when this happens? So I felt that communication was important for me to tell others and to highlight that, and it's something that when I have a bit more time and when I've healed more from COVID, I would like to do more advocacy for non-small cell lung cancer in Asia because I think that, not enough people know about it and know how to deal with it when they have it. So I felt it was important that I shared that, and also my lessons and my learnings from my experience might be they might be able to help other people who are going through similar diagnoses.
So what if we just reverse the process around how did you expect people or wanted people to communicate with you?
Yes.
Like,
And
I
it
mean,
was
obviously
hard.
yeah, go ahead.
It's hard because I thought, you know, when someone tells you they've got cancer, and things go through people's minds, and everybody reacts differently, and I haven't have anybody close to me who's had cancer, so I wasn't really touched by cancer. And the people who I did know, you know, kind of friends of friends, you know, yeah, it's really hard to know how to deal with it. And I find that people react differently depending on who they know. So if they know someone who's died of lung cancer recently, and or someone, you know, they only know negative stories, that then they're only going to assume that you know, she's not got long to go. And especially here in Scotland, when there is quite a big prevalence of lung cancer, and people, you know, the prognosis isn't good. So they, you know, people just immediately think, okay, my friend isn't going to be around much longer. And so you have to deal with their emotions as well, and so it is quite hard, you know, how you put it across, especially with me, as I'm a positive person, and I tell people and then they start to cry, and you know, and I'm managing their emotions, I guess, when a situation should probably be the other way around. You know, and it's hard to tell people, and then also not telling people. I feel like there's an elephant in the room if I make a new friend and they don't know this part of my life, but at what stage is the right stage. But to answer your question around how should you communicate with people, I mean, I think it's just good to ask questions. You know, I think if people say to me, and how are you feeling, and you know, what's your plans, and how can I help you, and just be there to talk about it. I think, well, you know, it's harder when people never mention it, or they mention it once and they never mention it again. I think, you know, it's part of my life. I don't like talking about it all the time, but I definitely don't shy away from the conversations.
That's great. And, you know, Shirley, when I was communicating with you, and I know you're not always wanting to do WhatsApp chats and all that, so I thought I gave you space. So that's how I was that was my way of communicating with Shirley, but also letting her know that I care, and that if I'm here for her. And I think that's, and you know, and I had experience with one of my girlfriends, closest girlfriends, and Shirley knows this. She died 2 years ago with multiple cancers, and that whole process. So it was so hard to not knowing what to say to her. And I think so the question is a very good question from our audience, that, you know, and I think what I learned was just to be there, and in whatever ways, just to be there, but let them know that we're here. And I did the same with Shirley. I did the same with my girlfriend. And you know, it was a time just a few months running up before she was going, and she knew she was going. I was in denial that she was going. I really was. I didn't want to, and I kept saying to her, look, I'm going to send you all the best healers. Get healed. You deserve to live. So I said whatever I could, because she was presenting me with the most difficult questions, like, "Hun, why me? Why me?" And you know, she had the pain that I've never heard her complain about any pain. You know, she's had kids, right? And Shirley's had kids, so you all know how being a mom and labor and all that, how painful it is. But I've never heard someone, and you know, by the time she was going, she kept it silent to me as well, and she was being so considerate, because I had a wedding to go to back home. My niece was getting married, and I think she knew, so she she just kept. But I kind of knew. I just kind of knew, and that's how we communicated. And you know, she went peacefully in France and all that. But I think being present, and just being present, and letting people know that we're there for them is the most important thing. Sometimes saying the right things could be the wrong things, or sometimes we can never end up saying the right things. But I think just being there, and that's it. Right, Shirley?
Yes, definitely. I think knowing they've got that support.
Yeah, and you've been so good at just considering everybody's feelings and all of that. Do we have any more from the audience about communication? I think we're getting someone here. I know someone who discovered lumps, but avoid going for a checkup, Shirley. Now, there seems to be fear of what the checkup will reveal. How do we engage with them to get them to ask, you know, to act fast? That's what they're saying. Is that, you know, that fear will go away, or, you know, how, you know, we don't want them to get worse. So how could we convince them to move forward without fear?
Yeah. That's a good question, and I'm not sure I have a perfect answer to it, but I think definitely it's facing up to our fears and looking at, right, let's just write down what this could be. Okay, you've got lumps, you think it's cancer. It could be cancer, or it could be, you know, a whole list of other things. And you know, the fear is holding you back from living your life and being happy, and enjoying today and tomorrow. So I think looking at it that way, you know, if it's eating away at you, then it's not positive for you or anyone around you. And so many times it isn't cancer, or we catch it early and we can do things about it, or in my case we catch it late but we get amazing medicine and get into remission for hopefully a long time. So there are things, you know, not thinking the worst, I think, and that's certainly been something for me. You know, the more research I do, the more I recognize there are foods, there are supplements, there are repurposed meds, of which I'm on about 100 a day of tablets. There are so many things that can be done. There are so many alternative therapies. So you know, don't believe, that you will necessarily die soon. There's so much out there, and especially when I read about people, you know, stories of cancer patients who you know, who gets in a really bad way, and then they get put on a new treatment, or then they find a new supplement that they haven't tried, or a new therapy that they haven't tried, and they get better. So that's why I think, for me personally, I don't want to give up hope. I don't want to give up hope, because I think there's always so many other options there. And yes, there may be a time that runs out, but I can't imagine that now, because I have listed in spreadsheets. My husband and I have worked through so many different options and that has given me power. Knowing what my options are has given me power, and make me feel that I have some control over this situation. It's not just down to the hands of one doctor. It's my body and it's my life, and I need to take control.
Yeah, and I think that's what I've always seen Shirley do. And she's, you know, I'm going to go ask this doctor, I'm going to do all my research, and, you know, I'm going to change my food, or, you know, I'm going to go on the South China Morning Post and do an interview and share all the things. And she's meditating, she's working out, and she did lose a lot of weight. And she was doing, at one point you were doing infrared, right? You were
Yes,
doing
and I'm going to do that actually when I go back to Hong Kong.
Wow.
I'm going to do infrared yoga, I've decided.
Well, infrared yoga. So is that like
Yeah.
hot yoga? So
Yes.
it's the same idea. Well, tell us a bit more about that. That's
Yeah, well,
something new. You haven't told me yet. So
yes, well, someone else had recommended it to me a while ago, and infrared saunas are really important for people with cancer, because it helps, you know, detox the body. Cancer doesn't like the heat. So I know I need to do more yoga to help my COVID recovery when I can't jump around and do the HIIT classes that I'm normally doing. So I think I'm going to do a more gentle yoga, and I'll do it in infrared. You know, there's a few places that do that in Hong Kong. So that's my plan, is to kill two birds with the one stone, relax. And
well, it sounds good, because if it's similar that, you know, to hot yoga, you're doing it at a nice hot temperature, right? So you get to sweat, and sweating is very good for getting rid of toxins anyway. So it's all good. Now, you have a plan for when you come back to quarantine, because you got 21 days. Can you tell us about the plan? And it's a, you know, continuation to your recovery, of course. So inspire us with that.
Yeah. Well, my plan is, I've got some good books to read. I've got some work to do on research. I've got lots of research articles to read, but also I'm just going to enjoy meditating. I'm going to enjoy doing some yoga. I'm going to enjoy healthy foods that will be delivered to me, not what's offered by the hotel.
No.
And you know, and I have my 7-year-old with me, and thankfully for our sanity, we have interconnecting rooms, so I have some tutors lined up for him to do some schoolwork, and we're going to do some fun things. So we've got a few fun things I've got planned for us to do together that don't involve devices. So, you know, I a lot of people dread quarantine, but I actually think it's going to be quite nice, because, you know, there are limited things to do, and you know, you can enjoy it. I've been in Scotland in a 5-bedroom house, which obviously I'm not used to in Hong Kong. So I've been, cooking and cleaning and sorting things out, and you know, dealing with suppliers and getting, this is a new house, so getting a lot of work done. And now I can just focus on myself and my son, and I think actually I'm going to enjoy it.
It's good little nice break. I know you've been doing
Yeah.
a lot as well. Now, back to gratitude, purpose, and gift.
Yeah.
You know, you also became an author. Obviously, you write really well. And the book, part of the book that you co-author is My Voice. I'm
Yes.
curious, you always had a voice. And how significant is, you know, being a co-author for a book with the name My Voice, with the title My Voice?
I mean, it was definitely something that I never had planned. You know, I had never planned to do this. I always thought perhaps there's a book in me, but I didn't think that was the topic. I do a lot of work about helping get women back to work after a career break, so I felt it was probably along that topic that I had already contributed to a book on that topic. So I felt that was probably the book I was going to write if I wrote a book, and then I got sick, and then, you know, my life changed and I learned lessons and went on a different path. And then, yeah, I was approached to co-author My Voice, which, you know, I just thought this is a great opportunity to take. And it helped me to sort of really distill my thoughts and give me more clarity. And it's great that I've been able to help other people, and it's, you know, become an Amazon bestseller. So yeah, it's amazing.
So in this whole process of surviving the 2 C's, you're thriving, you know, with even a louder voice, and you're helping people. So what is the next thing on this recovery path? Are doctors saying when you'll be completely okay again? I mean, you're looking fabulous, and you sound fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. I think for me, you know, I'm hoping to stay in remission from my lung cancer. So that's something that I'm really focusing on, maintaining the diet, you know, making sure I'm taking the right supplements and repurposed meds at the right time, not mixing them with others. So it's very complicated to maintain that. So what myself and my husband are working on, because he's been so important for this, because there've been times when I've not had the mental capacity to read these articles. So he's been walking through this, and our plan is to really get to a stage where we're comfortable. This is what I'm on. This is my regime, and I stop thinking about it. And, you know, rather than should I be taking something different. So I think it's important that my mind space is not filled up too much with this. So we're going to get to clarity on my medicine. I think for me, I do too much, you know, and I think this is my year. You know, I wrote a LinkedIn post about things I'd achieved when I wasn't actually planning to during this year of having lung cancer. And I think I'd like next year's one to be a much smaller list. So I think I want to really just focus on, you know, focus on myself, focus on learnings, becoming more wise, and really just listening to myself and clearing out any negative energies, because you know, the lungs, you're supposed to be much more open about your emotions. I think when lung cancer is seen, you know, certainly in, you know, I think it's sort of Chinese medicine around, but you know, you have holding negative emotions, not really opening up about everything. So I feel I need to open up more, and release everything.
Oh, wow. Because, you know, we did talk about this initially, right? I think one of the doctors asked, oh, you know, were you holding in anger? And now you're beginning, are you realizing what some of those are that you could share with us that would inspire our audience?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel I was holding anger, because I'm always a positive person that looks forwards. So I don't really have, you know, sort of regrets, but there's definitely things, there's small things, and to me, I felt they were so small, you know, that they weren't worth thinking about. But you do actually have to walk through these, and it's things in my childhood, you know, around us not having much money, or my mum withholding of money, and you know, you can't go on the school trip, everybody else is going on because we don't have the money, and you know, you can't get a new school uniform, we don't have the money. So there was things like that. You know, you have to pay your own way through university because we don't have the money. So I worked in a restaurant, you know, split shifts as a, you know, to pay my way through university. So those things at the time, you know, I was a bit annoyed about, and I think I need to, you know, and I feel that I've forgiven, you know, a long time ago, and also recognize that, yeah, they were in a tough situation financially, and you know, they couldn't afford that. So I felt I'd worked through that and reconciled myself, but sometimes, you know, you have to revisit these things and really make sure you're not holding anything at all.
Well, and it's okay. They do impact us. I mean, everything you listed there, I went through as well. And I think growing up into adulthood, then you come to realize, well, you know, we just have to accept that our parents were doing our best. And
Yes,
but
yeah.
it does affect us in the way we you know, that we deal with life, right? And
Yeah.
how we are. And until we become aware of that, then we're like, oh, okay, that was affecting us and we need to change that. We need to shift out of that. And I think that's a great learning lesson in itself, to grow from that and say it is okay. And you're such a high achiever, Shirley. I mean, you're so successful in whatever ways, you know, you're just so, and I look up to you, you know that. So many of us look up to you. You know, you use you mentioned the word mental challenge or capacity earlier. Since we're a summit about mental well-being, can you describe a bit more? What was that like? When was your lowest point where you really felt you were mentally challenged, you know, that you had that maybe you just couldn't do anything and you had to rely on your husband or somebody to help you have clarity?
I think, well, various stages. I mean, definitely since I got cancer, when, you know, initially, how am I going to deal with this? What is the way forward? So that took a bit of time for me to really look at what was my strategy going to be. And, you know, I mean, one of the things that's important to me, and you know, I have an amazing life coach who has been in my life for 15 years. And, you know, after a couple of weeks, I thought, why am I not calling Vikas here? I need to call him. So, you know, I did. I said, hey, this has happened to me. And I always thought if something bad happened to me, I would always speak to Vikas. But it took me a couple of weeks to realize that, you know, that's what I needed to do. And he has given me that support and reminding me things like counting my blessings and you know, daily gratitude. So, you know, he has this thing sort of 10 to thrive, and you put your 10 fingers out, and you basically count your blessings one by one. So you know, and say it out loud. And that's really helpful. And I think, you know, one thing he says to me is, you know, you're either blessed or stressed. So if you're feeling very stressed, you're not thinking about your blessings. And then I have to sort of, and when that happens, I sort of step back and start counting my blessings again and realize, you know, I'm lucky to be here. I'm lucky to be here every day and have the support of, you know, friends and family, and have, you know, a healthy body and mind, and, you know, I'm able to do exciting walks. So that I have lots of amazing blessings. And sometimes the smaller things I like to, you know, in Scotland, we have this amazing view out the window looking on this loch, the house that we bought. And I've spent a lot of time just looking at this going, wow, how amazing nature is. Look at the different color of the water, the you know, the sky reflecting on the water. So small things like that have given me a lot of pleasure. And yeah, sometimes I just need to take that time and count my blessings.
You know, we opened the concert today. I mean, you were still sleeping when we started, with a song by Karuna Shinsho, and the last one that she performed was "Keep Smiling" and "Keep Smiling." And you have such a beautiful smile, Shirley. I've asked this before, but I should ask again because it's so inspiring. Where do you find this? Like, how do you keep smiling when you're taking, like, you said, like 20, 30 pills a day, or so many sorts of I mean, I'm just saying 20, 30, and maybe 50. And you, on top of that, you're taking care of your kids, your husband. And at one point when we were talking, you said, Teresa, I really need to talk to you. But all you talk about, and I've never known you to be like that. And all you said, Teresa, I've been cleaning, I've been doing this, I've been. So, you know, how do you keep smiling and still, you know, just do all of that, take care of everybody and still be smiling and be okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, you know, I'm thankful for what I have, and you know, it's taking that time with what you have, and it makes it a bit easier when you've got children, because they remind you all the time. You know, they're there as that reminder of you know, you need to focus on them, and you know, the joys of life, the simple things, like my son, you know, likes running around the grass in the garden, and well, in Scotland he does. We have a little garden of grass, and he just runs and runs around in circles in the rain, and you know, and my mum was saying, he needs to come in, he'll get his death of cold. And I said, look, he's enjoying this. You know, it's good to just look at these small things and appreciate those, and yeah, find joy in these small things in life.
And I think you really made a huge effort too, was when you became more aware of your stress levels, and you said, Teresa,
Yeah.
and you said this to me many times, Teresa, need to cut down, and you were doing still a lot, but you're really aware that you need to reduce, your workload or whatever you were taking on, and I love the fact that you're always constantly visualizing how your life is going to look like this year and next year. And that's that's so inspiring, to us. And we're getting comments in the audience saying self-empowerment. Hooray, Shirley.
Thank
Hooray,
you.
Shirley. And then, keep shining. You're so powerful. And we're getting more of that as well. Yeah. And again, another comment, keep smiling and keep shining. And that's so important.